What's happening? Mr. Sparta, good to see you in the chat, mate. I'll just see if a couple more people join, then I've got a few things to look at. Some Sky teams to show, blah, blah, blah. And then a bit of fan team stuff as well. Yeah, really sorry I haven't, or me or Sam haven't been able to make any videos this week. I've been away at a work conference. Absolutely knackered yesterday. I didn't realise quite how tiring, like, talking to people for 2 days straight was. But, yeah, we had to organise the whole, like, event and stuff. So, yeah, I was pretty knackered yesterday. Had a bit of recovery today, so I'm ready to get back into it. Yeah, I'm just going to tweet it out, actually, if I can find my phone. Just give everyone a tweet, and then I'll get right into it. Hope you're having a good Friday, mate. I hope your week's been good. It's interesting because I can't share my own video. It won't show it for some reason. What do I do? Is that it? Hey, there we go. So I'm just copying the link to Twitter so we can tweet that I'm live, and then we're sound. Hope everyone's having a good Friday. Can do a little tweet, and then we'll be good to go. Training all week, oh mate, sorry to hear that. Yeah, just having to sit there and just pay attention to someone talking for ages is just fucking, it's death, isn't it? I'm completely with you. Right, the tweet is done. What I thought I'd do is just record this like a standard sort of video, because I'll obviously release this as a recording when it's finished. But what we'll cover is just, yeah, the standard stuff I'll do on a video. I'll talk through the fixtures and all that jazz, show you my teams, how I'm getting on in fan team, etc, etc. So start off with the old fixtures for game week 13, I think it's called in Sky. The Sky and FPL game weeks get a bit mixed up, which makes things a little bit confusing. Hello, yes, toast, a man who likes toast. Yeah, fixtures for this week. So Saturday, starting off Leicester City, Newcastle Villa, Palace Southampton, Brighton Chelsea, Brentford Wolves, Bournemouth Tottenham, Fulham Everton, and Liverpool Leeds. Well, obviously for Sky, like the whole world blowing up over Erling Haaland in terms of FPL. Thankfully for Sky, that's not too big a worry. We're all pretty zen here. So from my perspective, I'll just be waiting till 11:30. I'll set an alarm because I'm off to Ashton Gate for the Bristol City game at 12. So I have to like stay home so I've got a good signal and then scoot on down to the stadium. But yeah, I'll just check the lineup, see if Haaland starts. I think if Haaland plays, you've got to go for him, haven't you? And then if he doesn't, there's a few options really. With just the rest of the Man City team, I think Cancelo's always a good captain every day that he plays. Tottenham have got Bournemouth. I know Bournemouth have been looking a bit better, but yeah, I think Kane could be a perfectly decent option on that day. And then Liverpool Leeds, I think Salah. I know he's not had a great season, and popular FPL content creators have been captaining him to no avail, but I really do think Leeds are looking pretty shoddy at the moment, and Liverpool could score 3 or 4 in that game. So yeah, I think Haaland's obviously the first choice captain, certainly my first choice captain anyway, and if we find that he's benched or doesn't play, I think then I've got a choice really. Do I want to go for Cancelo, do I want to go for Kane, or do I want to go for Salah? And when you see my teams, one of them doesn't have Salah in it, so I'm sort of stuck with, well, I say stuck, I've got to go Kane or Cancelo, and the other one's got all 3, so it'll be an interesting one. And then on Sunday, Arsenal, Forest, and Man United, West Ham. I think, who have I got in both my teams? I'll show you my teams in a sec. I think I've got one team without any Arsenal players in it. So it might well be that I do Bowen to Saka or something like that. But in one of my teams, I'll just go for Jesus. But like, if you were to say on paper, who is the best captain on Sunday, I would probably say Saka. Saliba, to be honest, could do quite well as well. I'd say between Saliba, Saka and Jesus, obviously the three. But I quite like Saka, just for the fact that he was on penalties. And I'm pretty sure he only played like half an hour midweek. So, yeah, he was looking a bit tired going into that Europa League game. So, yeah, he should do quite well, hopefully against Forest this week. Earlier today, we had some average transfer remaining stats. Post in the chat what your rank is and how many transfers you have left, because you're all probably doing better than me at the moment. But yeah, top 10's on 15, top 100's on 20.6, top 1,000 on 26, and then the top 5,000 on 28.6. I always like looking at these stats because no matter how bad a season I think I'm having, towards the start anyway, these average transfer remaining stats are really, really hype me up a bit. So yeah, I'm way over 35 transfers in both my teams. I'll show you because I'm nowhere near winning this game, so I'm happy to publicise my teams now so you can see where I am. But yeah, some average transfer remaining stats. And then courtesy of FF stuff, a useful stat that I always look to is points per game per million. I feel for me, this is, in Sky particularly, this is one of the key stats basically to help you work out who the best players in the game are. So this is from the start of the season, and I've picked players that have played a minimum of, I think, 7 or 8 games. And top of the list at the moment is Kepa. I'm really pleased that I brought him in a few weeks ago, because since I've brought him in my team against Villa, yeah, he's got 12 points, and then 5 points, and he's 6.6 million. I just think it's ludicrous value for Chelsea keeper. And he'll probably be, unless there are like single game days post World Cup, there might even be fixtures actually, but I've not looked into the fixtures just yet. But yeah, I think Kepa is probably going to be the most popular goalkeeper post overhaul. Erling Haaland, I don't think that surprises anyone, even though he's like 11.5 million. Just the sheer points that he's got put him right up there in terms of value players. Mitrovic, quite interesting, is Wout Faes, I think his name is, from Leicester. If I can quickly, it's an early teaser of my team, but I was just going to quickly look for him. So I think recently he's done like exceptionally well, and he's dirt cheap as well. Where is he? There he is. Now, obviously, putting trust in Leicester defenders is a bit meh, but yeah, since he's got into the team anyway, he's kept, well, his clean sheet. Oh, actually no, since he got into the team, he lost 6-2 to Tottenham. Did he play any other games at the start? Okay, so got off to a rocky start against Tottenham. Forest kept a clean sheet. Bournemouth, he conceded, but he got tackles and passing. Clean sheet passing against Palace. Clean sheet tackles against Leeds, and then a clean sheet against Wolves. Obviously, those are easier fixtures, really. Certainly, well, yeah, Forest, Bournemouth, Palace, Leeds, and Wolves, quite easy fixtures. But looking post-World Cup, obviously, apart from the Liverpool game, those fixtures ain't too bad. So he could be quite a good option for that run. But yeah, he just seems to be able to pick up passing and tackle tier, and Leicester seem to be improving a little bit. So I just thought it was interesting that he's right up there in terms of value players in Sky. And then McAllister, I don't think that will surprise anyone. Just looking through that list to see if there are any more interesting ones, but I think the rest of these players are ones that we've all already know of or got. But yeah, Wout Faes is the one that surprised me, because these are stats across the whole season, and he's right up there with some of the best players in the game. And then what I thought I'd do is just do a filter on the FF Stuff bonus points tracker for the last sort of 4 weeks. Top of the list, and again, probably no surprise to people, but it's McAllister. I think Polinius started off as like the best enabler in the game, but I think McAllister's grown into that role now, and I think post overhaul, I think everyone's going to have him in their team. He seems to be capable of both like passing and tackles, and he's on penalties for Brighton as well. So I just think that's too attractive to not have, really. So yeah, McAllister top of the list. Casaido's in there as well. I think the two of those are playing quite a similar role at Brighton. I think by the looks of it, McAllister's got a few more passing, well, one more passing point. And I'm colourblind, so I really struggle to see red and green. But I think that's extra shots bonus that he's had over Casaido. What's also quite nice to see is some of the Brighton defenders up there with passing bonuses as well. So Duncan Webster been back amongst the passing stats, but they haven't looked amazing defensively. So just one to monitor, but they are back in the passing bonus game. As we went through, Wout Fass is right up there with passing in tackles. Martinez from United and Casemiro with tackles and passing as well. Rice has been up there with passes. Just seeing if there are any others. Obviously, Rodri's just the stalwart Sky bonus player, isn't he? So he's always going to be on this list. And then Harry Kane with shots bonus. But again, I don't think that comes as a massive surprise. Let's have a look at this chat. Metallica. If you already had Saka and Foden, what would you do with Bowen? Can only be a midfielder or a defender. So I guess I'll just show you my Sky screen so we can work it out together. There we go. So I guess it depends if you've got a captain for Sunday. Because it's only, I don't know how serious an injury it is for Bowen. Like if he's only out for a week, I have to take him out in one of my teams, as you'll see, because it's this team here, because I don't have anyone else to cover that captaincy. And I think if Arsenal are playing Forest, you need to buy an Arsenal player. So this is one of my teams where I simply have to take him out. But if I were... So yeah, last two fixtures are Palace and Leicester. Like I'd be inclined to keep him if it's not too bad. Manager doesn't think it's serious. Was running around on the 28th. He'll be assessed ahead of the United game. So I'd like to think if he doesn't play against United, he'll play against Palace. And he's not done too badly this season, I don't think, Bowen. So I'd be inclined to keep him, I think. If I didn't need a captain for Sunday, of course. Because it's only one game. Like the whole thing in Sky, like if you have a player who misses just a single game, I would never use a transfer unless I needed a captain for a particular game day. So I don't think I'd take Bowen out. So I've not done any major fixture analysis or anything going into the World Cup, but I just thought I'd show the FF stuff fixture grid. Boris, I know he's done a bit pony, but I don't know. I just don't think it's worth it with only 3 games left. I just think he could. I just think he could score against Palace or Leicester. I really do. And I think you'd. It's just. I just don't think it's worth it at this stage. I've got to be honest. He's in 37.5% of the top 1K teams as well. So that's a lot of transfers that are going to be used on him, I reckon. So. Yeah, I know he's done pony, but I think I'd be keeping him. I just thought I'd look at the fixtures, really, flash them up on screen and see if there's any like useful like 2-for-1s or whatever. But I really don't think there is. There's no like 3-for-1s or anything exciting. But yeah, just in terms of like the teams with the best fixture runs, if you like, I really like the City run. Leicester, Fulham, Brentford. I was a big advocate, certainly before John Stones got fit again, a big advocate of trying to go for a block Man City defence. But now they've got Stones, and I think Laporte played last weekend as well. I think it's really difficult to pinpoint who exactly is going to play for the Man City defence beyond like the obvious Ederson and Cancelo. Like even Diaz, I think, we've seen him dropped now. Multiple times actually, so I think it's between Ederson and Cancelo are probably the 2 most nailed. Then maybe Laporte as well. I think Laporte is Pep's favourite centre back, but I think even then he'll be trying to ease him in. So I'm probably a bit put off by the those 3 Man City fixtures. I think United have got a really nice looking set of fixtures. They're still not looking massively solid like defensively, especially without Varane as well. Otherwise, I'd have considered like a Man United defender for those 3 fixtures if Varane and Martinez were back together. The Arsenal run I don't think is too bad at all. I know they've got Chelsea mixed in there, but I don't think Chelsea have been looking all that fantastic. Even though I've bought Kepa as my goalkeeper, like the amount of times he's bailed them out. I just don't think Chelsea have looked that exciting. So I'd back Arsenal to score in that game. So the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, I think are really good for that run. Leeds have got some terrible fixtures. Don't think I'll be touching their assets. I don't mind those Newcastle fixtures either, like Villa, Southampton, and then I've just mentioned Chelsea. But again, it's a bit too late to be just making those sorts of transfers, I think. And then I think, well, the team with the best fixtures appears to be Everton anyway. They've got 2 promoted teams in Leicester. But yeah, Everton aren't really fantastic in Sky. So there's nothing too much on the fixtures, I don't think. Feel free in the chat if you got any questions about the fixtures or what you think are, if you want to know my thoughts on them. But yeah, we've got so few left now, I think. Really, unless you have all your captains, if you don't have any captains covered, I wouldn't really be making any major transfers. A couple more things to go through on a Sky front. Our Golden Goal Mini League. Top of the pops is Ewan. I think Ewan's been pretty much top since like game week 2. I can't remember. A few weeks ago, I think he said he was on 35 transfers remaining. He probably used a few more and around the 30 mark. But again, I think I've been saying this every week, with those points on the board, you can almost argue that those transfers have been used well. Tim Barry, a name that a few people watching this will probably recognise on Twitter, in second. Martin in third. Sean in fourth. Paul in fifth. In sixth, we got Dean Hicks. Mark Ryan in seventh. Mitchell Gregson in eighth. Oliver Brown in ninth. And Kian McKenna in 10th. And then one more thing before I go into my teams a little bit. We had some news on Twitter. I can't remember if this was today or yesterday, but it looks like the good folk at Sky have decided to run a fantasy football game during the World Cup. I've no idea what it entails. You know, we're only small as Golden Goal, so we definitely don't have any insider information, I'm afraid. But yeah, looks really exciting. If it's anything like the Premier League game, could you imagine like a World Cup game with daily captains, 40 transfers, all that jazz? It'd just be amazing. Passing bonus, tackle bonus. I think it'd be great. So hopefully we get a game of a similar rule set during the World Cup, because that can only be what this means, I think. And for me, I was a worried Sky player, really. It looks like Sky have, well, they certainly dropped the ball on the game last year. They appear to pick it up a bit this year with a couple of rule changes, etc. So it's really positive to see that they've put some effort into building a new game for the World Cup, which I hope means that there's another game for the 23-24 season, because I was a little bit worried that this year might be the last one. So yeah, it's really exciting. Boris, I've just seen your chat there. If you check their Twitter account, I think it's their pinned tweet. And whilst they said international, I'm pretty sure it's World Cup related. And I think the guy, his name's Billy Lumsden. He runs, or he has some kind of senior role within Sky Bet. I think he's quite close to the fantasy football game. And he was alluding to the fact that it's the World Cup. It'll be interesting if I could find that article, actually. Just give me a second, folks. I'll find the article and then share it on the screen. I won't share our little chat because there might be some messages that people don't want to stream, but I'll have a look for it. A couple of questions while I find that. What's my rank? Am I in the 5k yet? So one of my teams is 9k and then one of my teams is 3k. I'd be very happy with a top 100 finish. I still think it's possible. Like, we're so only halfway through the season. Comparing myself to other content creators at the moment, I'm a bit behind, but I still think, we've got over half the season left when we get back from the World Cup. So I'd like to think that I could claw it back and get a top 100. But really, top sort of 250, I'd be happy with. Sorry, just loading up Twitter a second. It's been a bit slow. Would you do Bruno to Bowen? Oh, sorry, I think he means Bowen to Bruno. We'll get 2 captaincies out of him, and he's a differential. I don't mind Bowen to Bruno. The only thing is Bruno been good enough to justify bringing him in? He'll probably be on penalties when Ronaldo's not playing, to be fair, which I imagine will be most of the time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd do Bruno. I think I'd just go someone like Jesus or Saka. Thanks, Ben. All right, here we go. Shall we read of it together? Because I've not seen this yet. So they're going to be UK-based alternative provided by Sky Fantasy. Nice. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I just don't trust the internet around Sky Fantasy Football, but it does look like there's going to be, that seems to be the same scoring system as Sky, doesn't it? Yeah, Ian, great news, isn't it? I'm very happy about it. I've been quite worried this start of the season that this was going to be the last year of it, but yeah, they're spending more money on a new game, so hopefully it keeps the hype going for next year. And it looks like, well, if sportinglife.com is to be believed, that the rules are going to be there's going to be saves, shots, passes, and tackle bonus as well. So that's really good. And then you select, it just feels like they've almost copied and pasted about the rules for the Prem game, haven't they? I guess we'll see. But this is quite promising. Yeah, all the standard formations that you see in Sky, so it just looks like a carbon copy of the Premier League game, doesn't it? Does it say if there's an author for this article? What I'll do, can I post links in the chat? Because what I'll do is I will link you all to the article if I can do it. That should do it. That should take you to the article if you want to have a read. But yeah, looks promising. Looks like we're going to get basically the carbon copy Sky Fantasy for the World Cup, which is great. I always watch pretty much every international game when there's a tournament on. So certainly keep us all engaged. I'm also, I might have to decide between Sky and Fanteam, because Fanteam are doing like a 50k game as well. I play both games, obviously, so it'd be interesting to see which one I go for, because I don't think I can play two games. I want to relax a little bit. Qatar via Ecuador. That's going to be fun, isn't it? Oh, there's my Fanteam, which I'll show later. All right, so the next one was just quickly to have a look at my two teams. So first, Custard Cream FC. I've got 38 transfers left, 9.5k. Annoyingly, this was partly down to the fact that I picked Trossard over McAllister, but in my other team I went for McAllister. That's the sort of A and B team, like basic captaincy decision, isn't it? Go for the two that are the best in each team. But yeah, I'm not in a too great a place in this team, despite it looking pretty good. I think the fact that I've held Salah probably hasn't helped me. But yeah, going into this week, I need to get rid of Trossard. I think I've had enough of him. But I'm just not sure who to go for. Because only 3 games, and if you look at my team, I don't have any striking spots free. I think all the good players at the moment are the strikers. So I really don't know. So what have I got in the bank? So Trossard 7.9. So I've got 8.6 in the bank for a midfielder or defender. I've just got no idea. I need to have a think, really. So I just don't know who to go for. There's no one screaming out to me that's really exciting that I definitely need to buy. Because unfortunately, I'm out for Bowen. I can't get him. Can't get to Rodri. I just don't know who to go for. I'm open to suggestions on this one, really, because I'm not entirely sure who to go for. To be honest, I'm not too... Bruno G struggled for a bonus recently as well, hasn't he? Maybe Martinelli or Rashford. Just not the type I usually go for, but I might well have to just pick Martinelli or Rashford for those 3, to be honest. I've got 8.6, by the way, for a new player. Or 8.4, sorry. for a new player, as you can see there. So yeah, open to suggestions on that one. I'll quickly talk through Chocolate Digestive FC while I get some suggestions. So yeah, this team, Kepa in goal. Kepa's been my keeper in both teams. That's probably one of the only transfers I've made this year that's actually worked out for me. Then we've got Dyer, Diaz, Cancelo. Quite happy with my double Man City defence. Even though they haven't done particularly well, I'm quite confident for the last three that they can do a job. It's just, I'm pretty confident Cancelo plays all three, but I'm just a bit on the centre-backs. I just don't know. There are 4-5 players that can play centre-back now for City that appear to be either fit or getting back into the fray. So you've got Diaz, Laporte, Stones, Akanji and Ake. All of them can play centre-back. So it's just a bit interesting who's going to play there. But I think I'll just hold Diaz. And that's the reason why I'm unsure what to do with Trossard. Because ordinarily, like 2 weeks ago, in the position that we were in, I'd have just done a straight swaps for Akanji. But I know Walker's also coming back now as well. So yeah, just not sure if Akanji will play all the rest of the games either. And then for the rest of that team, Polina and Adams, I think those, well, the three enablers in midfield that I've got will just remain until the World Cup. I need to think about what to do with Bowen in this one because I don't have a captain for Sunday the 30th. And I've got 1.7 million in the bank. So I was thinking of just going to Saka. Because I don't know, he's 13.6% owned. So I'm liking Saka for the Sunday game against Forest. And then he's got Chelsea. I've already said earlier, I don't think Chelsea's actually that bad a fixture. And then Wolves is the last game, I think. And Saka's obviously playing for a place in the starting 11 as well for England. So I think he's got more motivation than ever to do well in those games. So I quite like Saka. Yeah, you're probably right, to be fair, Ian and Ben on Trossard. I think I'll probably just hold him. It's only 3 games, isn't it? And there's no one like absolutely screaming out to me that's better. Yeah, and Haaland, Kane, Mitrovic. I mean, I don't really need to do anything with them. I don't think there are any challenging captaincies coming up or anything, are there? No, because I can captain. I can captain Trossard on the 13th of November. So, yeah, may as well just keep him for that. So that's what I'm doing in my team. Just because this is going to go out as a recording as well, I'll address some Twitter questions. Because we got a few, so thank you to everyone that asked some questions. And feel free to stick some in the chat if you'd like to. First one from a chap named Graham Craig. He's sitting with Nathan Ake. If he doesn't start, would you recommend a move to Rashford or another good differential? He's got 40 transfers left, so got plenty going into the overhaul. I think with Ake, he's a bit different to like a Trossard, where if he doesn't play this weekend, you wouldn't even be sure that how many games like beyond that point he'd play either. So I think if Ake didn't play, I think transferring him out is not a bad decision. I would say it depends who you've got for captaincies. So I don't mind Rashford at all, actually. Sunday the 30th, you could captain Rashford. And then you could also captain him against Fulham on the 13th. So I don't mind that, to be honest. I think that would work. And Ake is one of the few players in the game that I wouldn't be afraid to sell this week if he didn't play. I think that's a fair decision. And I don't mind Rashford, especially if you don't have a captain for the 13th of November. Because I think he's one of the outstanding captains on that day. Poor Mitch. Mitch Gregson, I think, is sitting like 8th in our mini league. He said he did Salah to Bowen. Please make the pain go away. I don't think I can really help with that one, mate. But yeah, that's pretty terrible luck. I'm sorry to hear that. FPL Spartans, who is in the chat. Assuming there are no injuries / suspension in your squad, is there much value in making transfers between now and the overhaul? I think, to be honest, mate, we've just chatted about that bit back and forth with Ian and Ben about Trossard there. In Bowen before as well, I don't think there are many like obvious luxury transfers to make at the moment. Like maybe like before Stones, Laporte and Walker seem to be getting back fit, you could almost argue that bringing in Man City defenders was a good idea, but honestly, like, I couldn't tell you. Maybe Cancelo and possibly Laporte. I couldn't tell you the rest of them that are going to play almost every game. So, yeah, I don't see any burning need to make transfers unless you don't have a captain on, say, Sunday the 13th, which I think is the day you probably want to cover. And then Sunday the 30th, obviously this Sunday, which is another day you'd probably want to cover. If you don't have a captain for those days, probably worth bringing someone in. But as for the rest, like, even if, I don't know, like, even if you had an injury at this point, like, say if Haaland was ruled off for like the last week or so, or last few weeks, I guess you probably transfer Haaland out just for his value. But yeah, I don't see any major luxury transfers to make. In your dreams, who scores more until the World Cup? Ake, Martinez, Lindelof, Shaw, or Rashford? He says he's had enough of Anderson, so someone's coming in. I think of your list, I'd go for the Man United Martinez. If you look at, well, I already showed it to the camera before, but if you look at the bonus points for the last few weeks, Martinez is right up there with some passing and tackles, so he's got bonus points potential. And obviously he's got 3 pretty tasty fixtures. Should we just pull him up a second? But again, I'm not sure I'd take out Anderson, to be honest. I must say. So yeah, he got tackles against Chelsea, tackles in a cleano against Tottenham, cleano against Newcastle, passing against Everton. Then even in the City game, he got passing. So he's not averse to tackle bonus and passing bonus here and there. And his remaining 3 are West Ham, Villa, Fulham. But if you look at those games, I think West Ham could score. Because there's no Varane now, I think that weakens United pretty significantly in defence. I think West Ham could score. Villa, they could also score on the counter-attack, to be fair. And then Fulham with Mitrovic, I'd expect them to score as well. So, yeah, not too sure on Martinez. I think I'd stick with Henderson. Just have a look at his fixtures quickly. Oh, mate, Southampton. So he's played Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Forest are the last 3. I don't think I'd be getting rid. I got to say, I don't think I'd be getting rid. They're not quite as good for passing bonus this year, are they? Well, they're not at all good for passing bonus this year, the Palace defence. But I think with those 3, mate, I'd probably just hold him. Another thing to mention, actually, is that Brighton have Villa on Sunday the 13th. So you could move to like Webster or Dunk, maybe, because they've been right up in the passing again. And looking at their games, Chelsea's not a great fixture, but Chelsea have struggled to score goals, to be fair. So I wouldn't completely rule out a Brighton clean sheet. And then they got Wolves, which you could probably back a clean sheet in. And then they got Villa on the Sunday, which if they don't keep a clean sheet, you could get some bonus out of them. So maybe Lewis Dunk or Webster could be good alternatives to Anderson. And then question from Ben that he's left on Twitter, so I'll just answer that and then have a look at the chat. Will you be making any more transfers before the overhaul? He really wants to do Bowen to Foden, but he's not convinced Foden definitely outscores him, by a worthwhile amount. Yeah, you need at least an assist per game. I agree, mate. I think it's a tough one. For me, I have to make a transfer to get rid of Bowen because I don't have a captain for Sunday, so I think that's justified, and I think we're going to go for Saka. But if I had Bowen, I probably wouldn't get rid. I think we've had that discussion. I don't think I'd get rid. Just a quick look at the chat. If Haaland is benched, do you captain Salah, VVD or someone else? Yeah, I covered this at the start, mate. I think you've got multiple options on Saturday if he doesn't start. I think Cancelo, definitely an option against Leicester. I think I see definitely passing potential. He's obviously got tackle bonus in his locker and potentially attacking returns as well. I know Leicester have kept like a few clean sheets in a row, but I don't think they've actually improved defensively. I just think by hook or by crook, they've been getting themselves through games. So from my view, I think City will blow them away. I guess the question is, will Leicester score? I think they're less likely to score than they are, if that makes sense. So I think you could back Cancelo in that game if he plays. I mean, alternatives, you've obviously got Kane at Bournemouth. Bournemouth looking a bit better, but Harry Kane's he's been overshadowed by Haaland, but he's literally had one of the best seasons of his career. So yeah, started 12, scored 10, 2 assists. So I wouldn't have an issue backing him against Bournemouth. And then obviously you've got Salah against Leeds, who are looking pretty shocking. So I think there are plenty of options, really. I think if I were to pick one as an alternative, it would just be Salah. Just based on previous record, the fact that Leeds are really in a slump at the moment, I don't think their new manager is going to pull them out of it. I think this might be the last game for him, and I think Liverpool could blow them away. So definitely, if Haaland doesn't play, I think it's Salah for me. And a quick question from Ian. How many City players are we having at Overhaul? I don't think I'll be buying any more. So this team, I've got 3 at Overhaul post-World Cup. Let's have a look. Oh, so we'll definitely need Haaland back. How many will I have? I think I'll definitely have a minimum of 2. For me, it just depends how the World Cup goes. Because obviously a lot of Man City's team will be playing in the World Cup. I guess it just depends how they go for injuries and stuff. But definitely Cancelo and Haaland, I'll be straight in my team. I think even though Cancelo's been worth as much as price as highly as he is, I still think he's worth his price. You see the amount of 10-plus point games he's got. And then I'll probably want a centre-back. It just depends how Laporte, Diaz, Stones, how they do through the World Cup, whether any of them get injured, etc. But yeah, I think I'll definitely have 2, maybe 3. And then I guess it just depends on Foden as well. Because Foden could well be a factor as well. But I'd say 2/3 to start for me. That's quite all right, Spartans. I'm going to, because this is both a Sky and Fanteam stream, I'm going to spend the last 10 minutes before I've got to go to training just having a chat about Fanteam, if that's okay. But if you've got any other Sky questions, just whack them in the chat and I'll just chop and change, no problem. So we go with the old Fanteam. This is my Game Week 14 team. Hopefully you can see that. I'll put it in the middle, but it doesn't really matter, does it? So I've got Pope in goal, Cancelo, Trippier, Saliba, Salah, Foden, Saka, Martinelli, Tony, Mitrovic, and then I've currently got the armband on Haaland. My view on Haaland is, thank you, Ian, thank you very much for joining, mate. My view on Haaland is that he will either play or he won't. So if he's not injured, I think he starts, and then if he is injured, I don't even think he'd be in the squad. I've got to be honest. So I'm going to give him the armband, and then if he doesn't play, the vice goes to Salah. That's my view. I know, talking to Luke, I actually joined one of his spaces, Luke Disable, one of his spaces at lunchtime-ish, and he was saying that Pep, even if he doesn't start Haaland, based on previous records with benching his star players, like for example Foden in the week, he could well come on. But yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns in that Haaland, I don't think if he doesn't start, he won't come on. That's my view. So that's my team. What was I going to look at? I was just going to quickly show you my rank. So this is the full season game. I don't know if the text is too small for you there, but I'm currently 29th overall in the full season game out of, I think, about 18,000 players. So I'm doing pretty well. Obviously only less than halfway, so I can't really stack that on anything. But yeah, 29th overall, 158 in the pot. We'll see how we get on this week. I played my wild card last week and actually went back in rank, which was a bit annoying. But I think this week, my team is very well set up. I couldn't, if you were to pick an 11 for this game week, I don't think you'd stray too far away from the one I've got. All my defence, you could pretty much back them to keep a clean sheet, like Newcastle against Villa, Cancelo against Leicester, and then Arsenal against Forest. I think if you actually, in fact, if I just get... So a free resource is FPL Factory. Basically, all the hub and scout clean sheet odds, etc. This guy running this site, it's obviously not as a graphically impressive site because by the sounds of it, it's just one guy, but it's got all the data that you'd ever need for making those captaincy decisions. And the clean sheet odds, top of them are Arsenal and City, and then Newcastle, because I've got Trippier and Poper on 30. But there's a view of your clean sheet and scoring odds if you're interested. And then defender return percentages, we got Saliba on. He's got a 67% chance of returning according to the bookies odds. So, and he's in my fan team. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with my team this week. My midfield, probably like literally the strongest I think you can pick. I think all four of them have got a good chance of scoring. And then Tony Haaland and Mitrovic. I think all three of them could score in their games as well. One definite observation I've made of Brentford this season is that they are crap away, but not too bad at home. So Brentford home to Wolves, Tony could do all right in that game. And then my bench, Perraud, Guehi, Dewsbury Hall, I think they all start for their respective teams. So if they come in, I'll get 1 or 2 points off them if any of my 11 don't start. And I've put Perraud as first on my bench. No idea. Just got the vibe. He's a bit more attacking than Guehi. In Palace, Southampton, I think will be a tight game. But that's how we're looking for fan team. I've got a couple more things to show you, and then I'm about to wrap up. But yeah, if anyone got any fan team questions, I didn't get any on Twitter, but if you want to ask them in the chat, just fire away. But yeah, I just wanted to have a quick look through the price rises this week. In fact, an option for Sky, I forgot to mention for those guys, is Xhaka. He seems to be doing pretty well going forward. But yeah, Xhaka's gone up in price. Danny Ings, Iwobi, all the list there, I don't need to reel them off. Pereira's gone up again. Haaland's gone up again, 12.9 now. Almiron, I think he's probably a bit expensive in fan team. I was saying on my FPL video earlier in the week that I think he is being a little bit overhyped. I think he's well in a purple patch, because if we look at the previous data from Almiron, he hasn't been that good for Newcastle. And whilst he's been amazing the last few weeks, I don't think he's going to continue that form. Just my opinion. But there's your risers. And then your price fallers, this list here. Annoyingly, I kind of, hopefully I didn't, no one did it, but I was quite hopeful for Aubameyang over the last couple of weeks, just with the quality of fixtures that Chelsea had. I thought he could do quite well, and he seemed to start all right for them, but yeah, he's just not done the business, has he? Same with Sterling, he's not really pulled up any trees for Chelsea yet. Sinistera's gone down again to 5.7 for Leeds. I think he could well be a good option post the World Cup. Son's down to 11.3. I'd still want him to be a bit cheaper, I think, to pick him in fan team. Scamacca, 6.4. I just think with the quality of striking options that you've got, I don't really think he's an option. That's about it, really, for the players that I'd be interested in. I'll give it a little bit, just in case anyone's got any... Hang on, we've got to change the banner. There we go. Just in case anyone's got any fan team questions for me. So I've got to head off to trading in a few minutes. But yeah, I'll hang about. Any questions, fire away. Otherwise, I'll end the stream there. Hopefully I answered everyone's questions as well. I'm just going to scroll through the chat and just have a look, make sure I didn't forget anyone. No, I think that's a lot. All right, I'll pack my bag and head to training then if there's no more questions. What I will be doing is I'll do a little FPL deadline stream about 10 a.m. tomorrow before I go to the football myself. So yeah, tune in for that if you're interested in a bit of FPL and seeing my ugly mug again. But until then, I'll see you later. Thanks for joining, everyone. It was good fun.